Welcome back, everyone. So today we are talking about G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is my favorite toy line. Favorite toy line as a child, favorite toy line as an adult. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I wanted to talk about some G.I. Joe, and I've got an assortment of things out of my collection that maybe some of you guys had, maybe you still do have. But I just kind of wanted to go through some of this stuff and talk about G.I. Joe, and then talk about how that, ends up relating to the video game that we will be playing today. I was first introduced to G.I. Joe in 1986, so the line had already been out for a few years, and I was introduced to it by my friend Chris. And one day at daycare, he brought a Cobra Viper. I really thought it was cool. I played with it for a little bit, and then when my mom picked me up and we went home, I said, "Mom, Chris has got this thing called a G.I. Joe. It's really cool. Like, I want one." And we ended up going to the toy store and getting one. This is actually my childhood figure. Out of all this stuff that's up here, this figure and this vehicle right here are the only things from my childhood collection. Everything else I've purchased as an adult, but this guy's still in pretty good shape. His O-ring is still good, and his joints are tight, and I have all of his accessories, which is not the case for some of my figures. I've got O-rings that are rotten and figures that are broken in half, and a miscellaneous assortment of accessories that I thought I did better at keeping track of my weapons and backpacks as I did, but I didn't. So the Viper's like an army builder figure. And there's a bunch of different Vipers. There's Alley Viper, Range Viper, Frag Viper, Night Viper, Toxo Viper, all these different Viper figures, and they're army builder figures so that you can buy a whole bunch of them and have a whole big army of these guys. But my other favorite army builder figure from Cobra is the Cobra Bat, which stands for Battle Android Trooper. You can see his one arm there is short. You can attach accessories onto his one arm, like another hand, a claw, flamethrower, maybe? I don't remember. I should have looked at the attachments before I dug him out. But I had this one as a kid. This is not my original. I like the bats. I mean, they actually gave someone for G.I. Joe to shoot at, because you couldn't have, these characters dying on the cartoon, but you could have Joes, shoot robots and they could blow up and no human died. So maybe that's why they created the figure. I don't know, but cool figure. I like him. Okay, so a lot of toy lines in the 80s, they had a strategy of, you create a toy line and then you support it with a comic book, a cartoon, both. And G.I. Joe was both. So it had comic book and cartoon. And we're going to look at one of the books. This is issue number 1 of G.I. Joe. And the book was published by Marvel Comics. It was primarily written by Larry Hama, who was also the co-creator of Bucky O'Hare. But anyways, Larry was the primary writer on this book, and Hasbro would create the characters, and Larry was really the guy that gave them personality by writing, about the characters in the books. He's also responsible for writing the file cards. So I've got some of these here. I've got a Joe and a Cobra, so you can see the very minor difference between them. Here's Beachhead. You can see it identifies him as a Joe. And a Cobra Bat that identifies him as Cobra. So Larry was responsible for these and giving these characters, personality. And the cartoon and the book are very different. Like, the cartoon It's got to be kid-friendly for television. So nobody dies. Everybody escapes out of their vehicles before it blows up. The comic book is not like that. In the comic book, people die. And I guess the one the one group that I could think of dying. So I didn't really read the comic book when I was a kid. I had just a few issues. I primarily just watched the cartoon. But I collected all the books back in the mid-2000s, and I read through all of them. And there's a subgroup of G.I. Joe called Battle Force 2000. There's like 5 or 6 guys. They've all got their own vehicles, and then their vehicles come together to form this base. They're very futuristic, 2000. And the readers at the time really didn't like them. They really pulled G.I. Joe away from the military background that they had, and fast forwarded it into like this futuristic thing that readers just really didn't like. So Larry ended up killing all of them off in one big shot, killed them all off in some big explosion. Reading through the mailbox on these, it's interesting to read the comments about how, all these new figures and vehicles are being introduced because Hasbro's creating all these toys. And the comic book and the cartoon are there as vehicles to drive toy sales. They're advertisement. It's really all they are. So Larry had to constantly bring in, new characters, new vehicles. Now, if the characters were new versions, it wasn't that big of a deal. You wouldn't write General Hawk or Duke differently just because he got, a different outfit to wear. But that wasn't always the case. You've got all these new Vipers coming in, and all these new characters. So Larry had a core group of characters that he really liked to write with. And he couldn't always do that because new things were just getting introduced into the line. And which eventually, that's why Battle Force 2000 came in, and readers didn't like it. And then he axed them. And the comments are pretty funny. It's pretty funny to read what people thought about that. Okay. So these are little mini comics. This actually is from my childhood. This is the only mini comic that I had, and what they would do is they would reprint like 3 issues. They'd reprint 3 issues. There's no mailbox section or anything like that. It's just the book. I'm assuming I got this at a grocery store because I really wasn't shopping at comic book stores at the time when I was playing with G.I. Joe. But and I don't know how many of these they made, but this is June number 4. And yeah, it's got 3 issues in it. Okay, so I got a G.I. Joe lunchbox over here. They also took G.I. Joe into other forms of products, stickers and lunchboxes and coloring books and all that stuff. So this lunchbox is from 1988, and it features Tiger Force. This vehicle that's here is actually, was, a Cobra water moccasin, which was piloted by Copperhead, and G.I. Joe got a hold of it, threw some tiger stripes on it, and now it's part of their Tiger Force group, which really is just a cheap way to sell more toys. You've already got the mold, you paint it differently, and you just say, hey, we're going to give this to the good guys, and, you don't really have to put much effort into making new toys. But that being said, still cool. Like, it's different, and it's got, this Tiger Force paint job on it. The characters or the Joes themselves would get repaints. So it's still cool, but really it's just a cheap way to sell more toys. Okay, so the cartoon G.I. Joe series, when it first started, they did like a 5-part miniseries. I think it was one year they did a 5-part miniseries. The next year they did another 5-part miniseries, like maybe 84 and 85 each had 5-part miniseries. And then 86 was like a full-blown season. It also had miniseries in it. I could be wrong about that, but anyways, these VHS tapes are of the first 2 miniseries of G.I. Joe. So this one is the first one. This is referred to as the mass device. Show you the back. And the second one is called The Revenge of Cobra. This is where they build the Weather Dominator. Each of these are they're kind of the same. It's like Cobra's going around and they got to get these different components to build this thing, and G.I. Joe has to stop them. I think there's 4 of them. There's these 2, the Pyramid of Darkness, and then Arise, Serpentor Arise. And I think those are the only 4. And out of those 4, Arise, Serpentor Arise is hands down my favorite. I think that kicks off the 86 season. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe they did these 2 miniseries and then they had a first season and then they had a second season. I don't remember. But I bought these back in like 2000 because you couldn't find these things on the internet, you know, and they weren't on DVD yet. So I purchased these 2 VHS tapes off eBay, and I was going to watch them, and then they brought out these first 2 miniseries on DVD, so I bought that, and I never opened these up. So now they're just a part of my collection that I'm going to keep. So it actually worked out pretty good. Okay, so now we got figures and vehicles that are up here. Just an assortment of stuff. A lot of the figures that are up here are key figures. They're some of my favorites. I could have covered this desk in figures to show you guys because I love all of them. But I really had to focus and narrow it down because this video can't go on forever. So I wanted to show a G.I. Joe vehicle, a Cobra vehicle, although this is, well, we'll get into it. Let's show you guys some figures. We'll start with Cobra. So here we've got Cobra Commander. Love the Commander, he's awesome. This is helmeted Cobra Commander. As a kid, this one was my favorite. And the only reason I can think so is like, it was like all the cool characters in media had helmets, you know, like Darth Vader. I really love Darth Vader in Star Wars. This is the hooded Cobra Commander. And I like this one. I like this one a lot better. I think the hood looks cooler. And we've got Destro. He's Cobra's weapons supplier. He's got wrist rockets on his wrists there. It's pretty awesome. And Destro's love interest, Baroness. I'll show some Joes here. So we'll get this question out of the way. Who's my favorite character in G.I. Joe? No big surprise. It's Snake Eyes. This is Snake Eyes version 2. Came out in 1985. This is the figure that comes with Timber, his wolf. And I grabbed Scarlet. So like I mentioned, the comic and the cartoon were different. So in the cartoon, Scarlet was the love interest of Duke, but in the comic book, she is the love interest of Snake Eyes. Two very cool characters. And let's see. So we'll show this vehicle. I'm going to keep these guys in here. This is an Awe-Striker. Had this one as a kid. I like it. It's like a dune buggy, sand buggy type thing. The suspension actually moves up and down a little bit on it. Cool toy. And I got Duke behind the wheel. And riding shotgun is Stalker. So if I was going to build a 4-man fire team of Joes, like this is it. Duke, Stalker, Snake Eyes, Scarlet. Like they are my favorite. Like they would be my main fire team, and then I could build a whole bunch of other 4-man fire teams with other characters because there's just so many awesome characters. So here is Roadblock version 2. I like Roadblock quite a bit. And Beachhead. Now, like I mentioned before, there was always new figures coming out in the line, so Beachhead is a ranger, and he, I guess you could say, replaces, not really replaces, but he's the newest ranger for G.I. Joe. The original ranger was Stalker. Okay, let's get this out here. So Destro, he eventually breaks off from Cobra Commander and he starts his own subgroup. This is Destro's Iron Grenaders. And this is the only vehicle that I had for that subgroup. This is the Demon. And this would have been one of the last, that could be the very last actually, Joe vehicle that I ever got. I got this for my birthday. I used to get $30 for my birthday and I could spend it on whatever I wanted. And when I bought this thing, I'm pretty sure this took up almost half my 30 bucks. Like with tax, it was close to 15. But I always really liked this toy. I think that's one of the reasons I actually kept it and didn't get rid of it with all the other stuff. But you can bring these treads down and then you can use it to roll over Joes. It would really just make it top heavy. But so Destro gets a whole new outfit. It's black. His helmet is now gold instead of chrome, and he has I think it's a one-seater ship called the Destro's Despoiler, and it actually sits on here. And so I would like to get that at some point, just because those two vehicles complement each other. So very cool vehicle. Holds three figures, pilot, and then I don't know, a gunner and a rear gunner. There's a rear gun turret back here. And it was pretty rare that we had duplicates of Army Builder figures, but we had 2 Iron Grenaders. So I could have the pilot and the 2 Iron Grenaders in there, and I was following canon, because you wouldn't have a Cobra Viper in there with an Iron Grenader with the pilot, you know. So I really liked that. I was like, oh man, I'm doing this right. So cool vehicle. And I don't know, when vehicles are black, I just like them more. I don't know. I just think they look cooler. So now we're going to talk about my favorite subgroup of G.I. Joe. Some of my favorite characters. Those are the Dreadnoks. I absolutely love the Dreadnoks. They're really the comedy element of G.I. Joe. In the cartoon, they're like just a bunch of screw-ups. But maybe that's why I like them, is because they have so much personality. They're so different. They're this, you know, biker-looking group, and they kind of act like a bunch of idiots, and they kind of screw everything up. But I don't know. I love them. I absolutely love them. So here's Zartan. This is their leader. Zartan comes with his own vehicle, which I don't have here. It's a Swamp Skimmer. And when you take him out in daylight, he will change color. And it's these 3 guys right here that I really, when I think of the Dreadnoks, I think of these 3. And I'm not sure why. I think it's because I believe they were primarily always shown together, so they're kind of like the 3 Stooges of G.I. Joe. But you've got Buzzer, Ripper, I did have him as a kid, but this is not my original figure. And Torch. So there's many more Dreadnoks than this, but really when I think of the Dreadnoks, I think of Zartan, these three, and the Thunder Machine is one of my favorite vehicles, but it's definitely hands down my favorite Dreadnoks vehicle. And so I also think of Thrasher. Thrasher's a pilot. I don't have him in here. He's sitting on the floor over there. I've completely destroyed my room. There's toys all over the place here. So this is the Thunder Machine. This thing is awesome. You know, it's just a combination of a whole bunch of different stuff. You know, it's very Mad Max. It's got a jet engine on the back of it. This this thing is just awesome. I just love it. When I started collecting G.I. Joe again, this was one of the first things I repurchased. Let's look at these. So you would get like inserts or brochures that would have, you know, figures and vehicles in them. Like with the figures, they were smaller ones, and they probably just had like mail order stuff that you could get. I don't have any, but I've got some of the larger ones that you would get with vehicles or play sets. And I figured we'd go through those. Okay. I'm going to try to do these oldest to newest. So we're doing everything in chronological order. So this looks like it's from 85 or 86. It's got Serpentor in here. I had Serpentor as a kid. So there's Serpentor and his air chariot. That 5-part miniseries is really awesome when they create him. Like Cobra goes around to the world's greatest leaders. They go into their tombs. They get the DNA off of the dead corpses of all these leaders, and they put all the DNA together to make like the perfect leader who becomes Serpentor, but he's very arrogant and rude. He's really just a big douchebag. And I like the character, but when he started, you know, trying to replace Cobra Commander, I was like, what are you thinking? So here we've got an assortment of figures that you could beg your parents for. A lot of really good figures here. You could see the Dreadnoks are in there, the Viper, Storm Shadow, Airtight, Crimson Guardsman, Cobra Eel, Lady J, Shipwreck, Quick Kick. So many really great figures in there. We got the Crimson Twins. This is going to get difficult. So, let's see here. I want to show you guys the Terrordrome. I never had the Terrordrome when I was a kid. I still don't have it. I don't have anywhere I could put it, even if I did have it. So there is the Cobra Terrordrome. We only had one base as a kid. It was the G.I. Joe Tactical Battle Platform, which looks like a oil rig that's out at sea. Didn't really like it because the thing's elevated up in the air. So you had to pretend that either the land, the topography went up to that, or there was water underneath of it. So the Joes were, you know, like climbing a ladder, climbing a rope, docking a boat. It didn't work well if you're playing out on the floor of your bedroom, which is where I played with it at. I didn't play with it in the tub because I didn't really have any boats, any G.I. Joe boats. So it was, I didn't really like it. Cobra Night Raven, modeled after the SR-71 Blackbird. That's an awesome toy. Cobra Hydrofoil. Chris had that. That's another awesome toy. And that Cobra Night Landing. Cannot remember the name of that boat. Is it Zodiac? Zodiac boat? That thing's awesome. Oops. The Thunder Machine, Cobra Stun. And some of these smaller vehicles are really awesome. Like, you've got a Trouble Bubble right there, Cobra Flight Pod. And then you've got, what is that thing called? The Ferret. Basically like a little ATV. I always thought that thing was so cool as a kid. I wanted one so bad. Actually, both those vehicles are really, really cool. Like, they had, I don't know, it's all cool, but at least you had really cool vehicles that were small and cheap, and then you had really cool vehicles that were larger and more expensive. I mean, not everything was cool, but... Okay, this other side's got Joe stuff on it. Let's see here. G.I. Joe Havoc. This thing's pretty awesome. It's got like this one-seater airship that deploys out of the back of it. It's got big guns and missiles on it. That thing's pretty awesome. Here's Sergeant Slaughter and his Triple T tank. My neighbor had that. That is pretty cool. Oh, here's the base that I had. So here is the tactical battle platform. It looks like an oil rig. But above it is the USS Flag. Well, as I guess I said, I saw that first USS Flag in that toy store, but the first time that I saw one that like one of my friends had one wasn't until high school. And really it was an acquaintance of mine, a friend of my brother's. He was an only child, and like the only toy line he collected was G.I. Joe. So he had the biggest collection, like the biggest childhood collection of Joes that I'd ever seen. He had everything. Like, it was awesome. I tried buying the collection off of him back when I was like 20 years old, and he wouldn't sell it to me. Okay, here's our next one. So, here's a Cobra vehicle here. This Cobra Bug. See, eventually they couldn't emulate actual vehicles anymore, so they had to get creative and start coming up with their own designs. Some of them were cool. I don't really like the Bug that much. This Stiletto here, we had this as a kid. That's cool. It looks like a super fast jet. A lot of these are just not that impressive of vehicles. I'll just go through. The Mamba's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool helicopter. I had the Cobra Wolf. It's kind of there in the middle of the page right there. And then we had the Buzzbore, and then this Dreadnoks motorcycle. That thing's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, here's Destro's Despoiler. And here's the figures in this assortment. More really good figures. Here's a Battle Armor Cobra Commander. That's version 3. Version 3 Cobra Commander. Okay. Oh, here's Tiger Force. We were talking about Tiger Force earlier. Here's more Tiger Force stuff. See, like they got a Cobra Rattler there. And there's Destro's Iron Grenaders. And this is Slaughter's Marauders. And then this is Python Patrol. So these are all repaints. All of these things are repaints. And like Tiger Force, this jet here is the G.I. Joe Conquest. So Cobra got it, and then they just And they just repainted it in that Python Patrol. I don't know. These don't... This is kind of when I was getting out of the Joes. So, I mean, I like these vehicles, but they're not my favorites. There's that Cobra Bug that we saw earlier. I mean, there's some cool... There's that big... The Rolling Thunder and the Thunderclap. Those Thunderclap was at the top and the Rolling Thunder's at the bottom. Those are pretty cool. I had a friend that had that stealth fighter up there at the top. It's a G.I. Joe Phantom X-19 stealth fighter. Yeah. The gag with that is that nobody could ever remember the pilot's name. So when... I can't remember the pilot's name, Ghost Rider, something like that. Whenever he would show up in the comic book, nobody could ever remember like who he was or what his name was. Okay, we'll show you this. We'll show you what happens when your Joes, especially your Joes that are all white, get exposed to too much sunlight. Here is my Storm Shadow that is nice and yellowed. My brother and I actually had version 1 Storm Shadow. And he got mad at me for some reason, and he threw my figure, and it broke apart. And I couldn't get it put back together. And I got so upset that I didn't want to look at the figure, so I threw it away. And then I found his, and I broke his too. Which is really dumb. Other than this, you know, the discoloration, this figure's in good shape. It's got good joints. The O-ring's good. It'd be nice to get one that was, you know, white and not yellow. Okay, so one last thing that I want to show you guys, because maybe some of you had these, maybe you still do, is this set of G.I. Joe trading cards that I have. They were released by Impel in 1991. Not my original set. I don't know, I probably had 5 or 6 packages of these as a kid. And then, you know, I got on eBay and bought a full set. So we start off here with the Eco Warriors. This was a new subgroup of G.I. Joe that had Joes and Cobras in them. Because the environment, you know, protecting the environment was becoming important, and you always had to refresh the line with stuff. So I find it interesting that they're at the very front of the collection. I mean, this is just another vehicle to sell figures, so they they put the Eco Warriors right up front. And then all these cards, they're broken down into sections. And so those Eco Warriors, it says patrols. This next section is called Rank and File, which I think might be the larger section, but I wanted to feature the Sky Striker there, modeled after the F-14 Tomcat. And this next part's got a lot of good vehicles. Cobra Rattler, modeled after the A-10 Warthog. But Cobra's has vertical takeoff and landing. That is an awesome toy. Cobra Night Raven. The Hydrofoil that Chris had. Cobra Hiss Tank. And this G.I. Joe Tomahawk, my brother had this. It's a pretty cool helicopter. You could load a lot of Joes up into that thing and take them into the battlefield. We've got figures. Shockwave up here. Shockwave's pretty cool. He's SWAT. He eventually becomes a part of another subgroup of DEF for like drug enforcement. We got Duke. And Spirit. Really like Spirit. Didn't have him as a kid. I got him now. And version 1 Shipwreck. I did have that as a kid, and actually the last G.I. Joe figure I purchased as a kid was Shipwreck version 2. Came out in 1994, I believe. He got promoted to a Navy SEAL, so I was walking the aisles at Toys R Us and looked at the Joes, and here I see Shipwreck, and he's a Navy SEAL. It's like, oh, that's awesome. So I picked him up. I mean, I was in high school when I bought that figure. I wasn't playing with or even collecting Joes at the time, but I needed that figure. Here's Storm Shadow, white, and not yellowed. And Captain Gridiron. G.I. Joe started to get sports-themed figures. Captain Gridiron's pretty cool. He's got grenades that are shaped like footballs. So that's cool. Gung Ho. The Commander. As his world burns around him, his nothing goes right. There's Dr. Mindbender. Led the project to create Serpentor. Firefly. Really cool looking figure. I had version 2 of Firefly. He's like bright green. Really an ugly figure, but I remember seeing it and thinking, ooh, Firefly. Like, I never had him. I always wanted him, so I'm gonna get that figure. This next section is original team. So characters are released in the original wave, although their costumes aren't necessarily their original version 1. That Snake Eyes is version 2. And next to Snake Eyes, we've got Scarlet. And there's Stalker. Like Stalker. And you can see Hawk down there. So when Hawk came out, he was just titled Hawk, and then he became General Hawk, but his version 1, he does not have the bomber jacket. That's off of his version 2 character. So this next section, official battle gear. This card of Gung Ho. So I remember when this figure came out because one of my classmates had it, but he's in his like battle, or he's in his dress. And I remember thinking, well, that's cool and all, but that's not what he's gonna wear if he's gonna go fight Cobra. Hardball, another sports-themed figure. And there's Airtight. Airtight was featured in one of my favorite episodes from the cartoon. I think it was titled like Cobra's Funhouse. And they go into this, well, building, this fun house, and it's got all these booby traps and stuff. And I don't know, it was a really fun episode, and Airtight was in that one. There's Hit and Run. He is from Iowa, just like me. Got a bunch of Vipers. I actually had all these, and I still have them. Although that Techno Viper looks black on the card, and he's actually purple. And we got Range Viper, Astro Viper. I still have those. I did not have Target. I do remember him, thinking that was pretty cool, but never got him. Now they got Special Missions, covers of the Special Missions series of Joe comic books. There isn't many of these, so I wonder if they're going to show us all the covers. So we got 1991 Recruits. So this is when I was getting out of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was like the first toy line that I really got into. I was playing with Masters of the Universe before G.I. Joe, but then I was like full on G.I. Joe, a little bit of Transformers sprinkled in there, but I collected Joe from 86 to 1990. Like that was like all I played with. And then after 1990, like I said, I would just pick up a figure here and there if I found it interesting. So a lot of these characters and vehicles don't interest me that much. They're cool, but you know, like I said, this is when I was getting out of it. But there's one figure that, I mean, I guess I can show you all of these, but there's one figure that I definitely want to show you guys because I think it's really cool, and that's this General Hawk. He's got a jetpack. That's a really cool looking figure. I'd still like to get that. And this version of Cobra Commander here, this is one of my least favorite versions of the Commander. I think that outfit is just ugly. I don't like it. If you like it, that's totally cool. I do not like it. And there's one figure that I want to talk about on this page here, and that's Tunnel Rat. So apparently Tunnel Rat is modeled after Larry Hama, like his physical appearance, his face. But Tunnel Rat is one of my favorite Joes, and there's a reason why. So my brother went home sick from school one day, and they ended up going to the store and getting toys, one for my brother and one for me. And they came back to the school and they picked me up. So I see our car, I jump in it, and my brother hands me this G.I. Joe figure, and it's Tunnel Rat. And I'm like, oh, cool. So who did you get? Cobra Commander, version 3. Battle Armor Cobra Commander. Like, I've never even seen a Cobra Commander on the pegs. Like, I want a Cobra Commander figure, like, you know, but really, maybe it was the only one that was there, and if I had been in that situation and there was only one Commander, I would have grabbed it too, and I just would have found some other figure for my brother. So, but because of that, I fully have embraced Tunnel Rat. He's one of my favorite characters. I should have grabbed him. And then we've got this next section is famous battles. So it's got covers from like G.I. Joe #1 that we saw. This one, they're fighting a robot. Recognize that cover there from that mini comic book that I had. Actually, I guess that wasn't on the cover, but that mini comic book that I had this issue in it, which I think introduces the town of Springfield, which is actually a Cobra base, which plays a pretty big role in Cobra's first civil war that they have. Here's an important issue. So, G.I. Joe issue 21. It's called Silent Interlude, and it's a key issue, and there is no spoken dialogue. It is all pictures. Snake Eye is infiltrating Cobra's base, which I think it was just a castle like in the mountains because they didn't have the Terradrome yet. But I should have grabbed that. That's a pretty key issue. And then I don't know if this was the first appearance of the Dreadnoks. That might be, because it's got him on the cover. And I remember this issue here. So this one right here that's got the Rattler on there. that issue's pretty cool. So Ace is in the Sky Striker and Wild Weasel is in the Rattler, and they have like this epic air battle. And nobody wins. Like their skills are equal. So at the end of it, they've exhausted all of their munitions, and they just have respect for each other's abilities on the battlefield. So it was a cool issue. It was cool to see when, opposing soldiers can have respect for each other because of how well they performed on the battlefield. Okay, so our last two covers that are here, and then we have got all of these honor roll cards, which are important because everybody on these honor roll cards is dead. So this card series followed the continuity of the comic book and not the cartoon, and I did not really read the comic book. So I start collecting these cards, I get these honor roll cards, and it's talking about how these people are dead, and I'm like, what? Like, what are they talking about? Some very key characters are in here. And so, like this first page that I showed, so Serpentor was on here. They end up having this big Cobra civil war, and Serpentor, he ends up getting killed. And at some point, I don't remember when, the Cobra commander ends up getting killed, and a CG replaces him, and a CG is a Crimson Guardsman. They're all dressed in red. Oh, I got one. I got one sitting over here because I got all my toys all over the place. So here's a Crimson Guardsman. They are elite troopers for Cobra. And this, I was going to say this guy's hip joints are a little loose. This might be my original figure because I did have this as a kid, and his O-ring feels good, but his his hips are a little loose. So anyways, there's all these different series of CGs. The most well-known is the Fred series. And everybody that's in a series, they all have plastic surgery, so they look the same. And then I think they have some sort of like mental conditioning or brainwashing or something like that. But Fred 7, he ends up impersonating Cobra Commander in his battle armor outfit for a number of years, quite a few issues. And eventually Cobra Commander comes back and he wants revenge on everybody that betrayed him. And it's awesome. He like gathers up everybody that betrayed him. He puts him in a freighter, like this landlocked freighter that's on Cobra Island, and he like buries it under a mountain. Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while since I've read these books, but maybe it'll say on the back of the card because there's descriptions on here. Yeah, so Zartan has been missing in action since Cobra Commander had him buried alive inside a cargo ship beneath a volcano. Like, that's awesome. You can't do that in the cartoon, but you could do that in the comic book. So I was just really confused when I was reading these honor roll cards as a kid, and I'm like, what are they talking about? How, these people aren't dead. Well, they were, but in the comic book. So here's some more guys. Some that I'd forgotten about, like Quick Kick there, I forgot that he had been killed in action. Oh, here's some of our Battle Force 2000 guys. So I did have one of these guys. I had Maverick because I liked Top Gun, and there's a G.I. Joe figure named Maverick, so I got to get him. And I don't even think I had a fighter jet for him to fly. But I had to have the figure because it was Maverick. It's like Doc is in there, and Firefly, and Crocmaster. Some pretty key characters. So that's the end of the trading cards, but so what does all this have to do with video games? We go to the store to rent a video game, and I see Metal Gear. and I see the soldier on there, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, this has got to be like G.I. Joe. Because I remember in some of my comic books, they had advertisements for Metal Gear, and it showed all the weapons and equipment that he would be using. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like G.I. Joe, you know, I gotta play this game. Well, this game is nothing like G.I. Joe. And it was really a disappointing rental because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know this as a kid, but you know, the cover is modeled after Michael Biehn, who's got some pretty iconic roles in the 80s. You know, Terminator as playing Kyle Reese, his role in Aliens, Navy SEALs, not, I mean, good movie, but definitely not as good as, you know, Terminator or Aliens, but good actor. So let's check out Metal Gear and let's see how many screens I can get into this game now, because I'm pretty sure when I was a kid I only got like 3 or 4 screens in and then I was dead because I had no clue what I was doing. So let's play some Metal Gear. Alright, so we are playing Metal Gear. I don't know who all those guys are. This game really confused me. You know, I rented it. I didn't have an instruction manual for it. I had no clue what I was doing. There are so many translation. First, attempt to contact missing our gray fox. There's so many translation issues in this game. But at first I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know. I'm like Duke, you know. And I mean, I would just, you know, you're a kid, you just pretend. When this game came out, we didn't have a G.I. Joe game yet. I believe the first G.I. Joe game came out in 1990. And so, you know, I'm just pretending. But I'm pretty sure this is like as far as I got, and I believe this game has unlimited continues. And any items that you pick up, you get to keep. So basically you just, I mean, it's really just trial and error. You just keep playing, and although when you continue, you gotta start all the way back at the beginning, which really sucks. But our problem is when you walk out of these trucks, the guards automatically see you. So you'll take a little bit of damage. But I think maybe this is the screen that I got to. Oh boy. Oh, that was not good. But I didn't get very far. Like, I didn't get very far at all. That dog's about ready to tear my butt off. I might not make it past this screen. Let's see. And unbeknownst to me, this was the first game that I played that had stealth mechanics. But again, I had no idea. Like, I thought this was, you know, you run around, you beat these guys up, they're bad guys, like I should be fighting them and beating them up. I just, you know, see, I'm already dead. So we should be able to continue. And I should still have the card. Yeah, so I still have the card that I picked up. We're not gonna sit through that again. We've already seen it. So, like, I don't know how close you can get to those guys before you trigger them. Or the dogs. Like, it seems like I can never sneak past the dog. But yeah, this was my first introduction to stealth mechanics, but I really had no idea. Oh, well, you can't get that close. Oh, Jesus. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing here. But this game was originally released for the MSX, which was a computer that was pretty popular over in Japan, and then it got ported over to the Nintendo. I've never played the sequel to this, Snake's Revenge. I wonder who saw me. The other thing is, like, when you go off screen, Oh man. So these trucks take you to different parts of the map, which might not necessarily be a bad thing, because if I get the one where it takes me to the ration, that would be awesome. I was stuck, like I had to... I'm not having very good luck here. You go in these trucks and there'll be gear that you can use, like ammunition, like I got the binoculars. Here's ammunition, you know, but what I'm looking for is rations, because I believe you can go in and out of these trucks. Yeah, this stuff comes back, so I can load up. Although I don't know if you keep all this stuff when you die and you continue. Like, if I want to get 3 rations, but I don't know if you keep all that once you have to die and start over. I haven't played this game forever. Actually, I should probably look to see. I don't even know how much ammunition I can carry. Oh, it doesn't even say. All right, well, let's not mess around with that anymore. But yeah, this game, you know, it's kind of cryptic. Like, you know, without having an instruction manual, not really knowing what to do, I really can't get into it. Like, I'm not that great at stealth mechanics. Ooh, is this the ration one? Yeah, it is. I'm not really that great at stealth mechanics anyways. I will always try to play as stealthily as I can, but inevitably everybody gets alerted and, you know, I'm shooting guys and just trying to, like, survive. But I always try to eliminate as many people as I can stealthily so that my life's a little bit easier. I'll go back in and get one more. And then I have no clue where I'm at. Let's go to the side. Yeah, see, I don't know, this just will keep repeating until we go like up or down. Like, it'll probably take us somewhere. Yep, here we go. The truck have started to move. I mean, the ideas that this game has are pretty impressive. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't, I think it was just a little too far ahead of its time. I don't know, maybe there's people that are really good at this game. I am not good at this game. Yeah, but since I didn't have a G.I. Joe game, I just pretended that I was a Joe. And yeah, so I'm assuming that this card will let us get into that door. All right. Inside of a building. I mean, this game's still kind of neat. Like, even though it's cryptic and I don't really have a clue what I'm doing, this is still pretty cool. You know, sneaking around this army base. You know, you got these tanks right here. Oh, geez, that's not good. Oh, crap. Let's try this again. There's a booby trap. I wonder if I can, whoops. I wonder if I can punch that guy and not set the alarm off. Yes. Yeah, that was, yeah. I saw him looking my way. Oh, crap. I didn't know it was going to continue onto this screen. I thought I was going to be scot-free. I doubt that this... Oh. This is interesting. Now you've got... Well, it's kind of like side-scroller because that's an elevator. Oh, there's cameras. So can I just walk under them? I keep hitting objects on the map and getting stuck. I just can't really tell. Uh-oh. Well, I gotta find Gray Fox. I wonder if he's in there. I'll have to find a different key or a different key card. I should probably use a ration. Let's go down here. Come on, guys. Why don't you come this way? Oh! Maybe we should just get out of here. I have located the ammunition. Oh, great. So now I'm gonna walk back out here and see, you got stuff like this, like the camera spotted me, and how was I supposed to know that? That just stinks. And now I have to continue, and I'm back at the beginning. Well, I think you guys have probably seen what the gist of Metal Gear is. I think this was a game that actually a lot of people played, and a lot of people probably were confused and had no clue, you know, what the heck to do. Let's just blow past all these. Oh, well, I can just run right past them? I guess I was just far enough away. I don't know how I'm making it through there without being seen. Alright, a dog's gonna chase my ass. I mean, I guess once you know what trucks take you where, you can get back to where you were at fairly quickly. It'd be nice if I could restock on rations. Maybe I'll say I'd go look in that other truck, but with my luck, it'll just take off and I'll end up going somewhere that I don't even want to go. Oh, I don't have my card out. Oh, oh man, now I'm screwing everything up. I just used a ration on accident. I wonder what's over here. Like when that call thing comes up, I just think of Colonel Trautman from the first Rambo movie, where he's calling him and trying to, you know, get a hold of him when he first shows up in the movie. Oh boy, this is not going well. And if you had like a little bit more of a life bar. Oh God. Oh, this is the other side. Why did I go this way? This is the other side of that. Oh. Oh, sweet. Let's go over here. Ooh, more trucks. I wonder if I can get in the back of these. Is this a door? Let's see what's over here. Ooh. I've located a handgun, but I have no ammunition for it. Huh. This is the first time I've gotten a handgun in this game. Is that a mine? A landmine, alright. Yep, that guy's gonna see me. What do we got? Oh, Jesus! I don't know, you know, this game actually is kind of fun. I don't know, now that I'm starting to actually find more stuff, I actually am enjoying this. I didn't think this was going to be a very good playthrough for a game. I just, you know, I really want to accurately, you know, retell my gaming history. And when I first played this game, I had no clue what I was doing, and I just was trying to find a G.I. Joe game that, you know, had a soldier in it, and boy, I wonder what I'm supposed to. So if I go down there, there's ammunition. Alright, I think that's probably good enough, because then I'm going to start all over again. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Okay, so I wasn't really sure how entertaining that Metal Gear playthrough was going to be, and there's one other game that I always pretended was a G.I. Joe game, and that's P.O.W. It is one of my favorite games, and I always pretended like I was Duke and I was breaking out of a Cobra base, so I thought maybe this would be enjoyable to watch too. So I don't know how I got dynamite to get out of here, but maybe I should just kick everybody. I just don't want to kick everybody. It is entertaining how they go flying off the screen. I'm playing this on the SNK collection for the PlayStation 4. Oh, what the heck? Really? Ooh, I want that gun. Gimme. I'll take this too. Ooh. Continue, yes. All right. Maybe I'm actually Steve Rogers, since I am extremely strong. So I never made it very far into this game. There's a part where like you climb up a tower. Yeah, this is okay. I got up to the top of this tower, and this is as far as I ever got in the arcade game. I believe the boss is up here, that helicopter, but I don't have any memory of getting past the boss. I'm pretty sure that this was about as far as I got. Really? Oh my god. Boy, this thing. I can't imagine pouring quarters into this game. Like, holy cow. Talk about hard. Over here. So, like, I used to love foreground objects back when I was a kid. I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. And now they just annoy me. I'm just like, get that stuff out of my way. I mean, if they're not too obtrusive, like that barrel there, like that's not bad, but when they cover a whole bunch of the screen and you just can't see what the heck you're doing, that's just dumb. It's a pretty big barrel. If this 55-gallon barrel, it's as tall as I am. That's the biggest 55-gallon drum I've ever seen. These guys, they've got berets on. These are our Green Beret Special Forces type dudes. Maybe we've been fighting guys with berets this whole time and I just haven't noticed. I just totally get a kick out of them just flying off the screen. You succeeded in escaping from P.O.W. camp. The visuals in this game are really nice. A lot of these SNK arcade games. Well, I can't say that. Oh God. I mean, they got really good visuals. This stuff was so impressive as a kid. To go to the arcade and see these games, you couldn't play at home. They looked so good. Although some of the arcade ports that we got at home were actually pretty good. Actually, P.O.W. on the NES is not a bad game. I've got it. It's not a bad game. I want that guy's gun. I kicked him into the stratosphere. I wonder if this game, because I can't remember, has the obligatory elevator level. I don't think it does. Maybe it does and I've just forgotten, but all of our 80s and 90s beat 'em ups gotta have the obligatory elevator level. Yeah, this wasn't the first arcade game that I played. But it was definitely the first one that I revisited multiple times. And got excited whenever we went to, pizza place or the bowling alley. You check out to see what arcades they have, and if P.O.W. was there, I was getting some money from my parents to at least play a little bit of it. We didn't get to go to the arcades very much. Like the actual arcades. I probably spent more time playing arcade games in like pizza restaurants than I did actual arcades. I like in games how when you're damaging an enemy, they flash so you know that you're actually like doing damage to them. I hate it in games where you just, enemies are like damage sponges and then they don't give you any indication if you're even hurting them or not, or how far you damage them. At least, the flashing lets you know. Konami was always good for that. Oh, guy beat the crap out of me. The helicopter back there's a hind, much like the one that's in Rambo 3. Oh man, I think I'm actually out of continues. Alright, well if that's the case... Oh no, I'm not. Well, why did it... Have I just missed that this whole time? I thought it was going to force me to quit. I didn't think it was going to give me any more continues. If it keeps giving me continues, I might as well just try to beat the game. That was close. I'm assuming that dude could have ran me over because it's an arcade game and anything we can do to inflict damage on the player and get more money out of them. That never gets old. Oh. You beat Tank Soldier in Warehouse. Well, all these young gamers now, they don't get the joy of reading poorly translated games anymore. It always annoys me when I die and I got my invincibility frames and I managed to not land a single hit on an enemy. Like in an arcade game, well in any game, but in an arcade game where you're constantly pumping money into it, those invincibility frames are precious. You gotta do as much damage as you can. I'll tell you what, knife guys, like guys with knives are so annoying. And the other game that I think of with enemies with knives that just annoy the heck out of me is Final Fight. They jump up in the air and they're like stabbing their knives down, and then they got that low slide, like they've got aerial, and just they have so many attacks. Those guys are freaking dangerous. Oh, it's an elevator. Do we get to fight anybody on it? Yes. Oh, ooh. I thought I wasted that knife. I thought for sure that he was gonna be too low to hit that. Oh my god. Come on, guys. I wonder if this is a boss. Oh. You won battle and defended enemy's charge. I don't really like beat 'em ups where you kind of always gotta like jump kick, or you know, you gotta do the same move over and over again because it's the safest thing to do. Like it gets so repetitive, and like I want to switch stuff up and I want to punch people and kick people and whatnot, but like just constantly going through a game and doing jump kicks, like that's not fun. You know, now for an arcade game where you're pumping quarters in, I mean, that's not a bad strategy, but on this game, when I've got unlimited continues apparently, you know, I can at least switch it up. Yeah, but like Double Dragon for the NES, I think the most powerful attack in that is like the elbow, like a back elbow. You know, and if you gotta like spam that over and over just to get through the game, I'm not really paying attention here. Like that's just, I don't know, it's just not fun. I also like it in games where they can, you know, explosions damage everybody. It's always nice when, oh my god. It's always nice when the enemy's grenades will actually damage them too. Oh, my favorite. 4 knife guys. Invincibility frames for the win. Oh, jeez. I got a knife in my ass. Oh my god! Oh hell. Here's our section to burn through our quarters. We gotta be close to the end here. Because I'm pretty sure this game doesn't have that many stages. Like, I think I've already played, what, this is the 3rd stage I'm on? Oh man, I thought that guy was gonna stab me. I'm thinking it's got like maybe 4 stages? I think this might be the last stage. I don't remember. Whoops. I said I like switching it up, but then I'm like kicking everybody. I should switch it up here. Let's use the fists. Get some headbutts in. Oh, this must be our end boss. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was able to land a hit on him with all these other guys here, but it looks like I did right there. Looks like I can kind of cheat him and stun lock him. We're not gonna do that. We got the uppercut of death. This is Snake. Ha! That's funny. Just think of what, where we'd be at if Metal Gear was actually a beat 'em up and not a stealth game. Oh, I thought that was... Apparently we're not done yet. Yeah, we're gonna stun lock that guy and then we're gonna blast him. Ugh. Like, there isn't even time to get out of the way. I kicked that guy off, and I didn't even have enough time to get out of the way of the explosion. Alright, is this it? Jeez, that guy takes a ton of damage. Yeah, well, see, when you use your fist, you kind of just trade blows. You just don't do it as much when you kick. Ooh, is this my ride out of here? Oh, the end. So anyways, I don't know if that was any more enjoyable than watching Metal Gear. I was kind of concerned about playing that game because it just, I don't know, I figured it'd be boring, and then I'd obviously, well, I would, die a bunch of times, which I did in this game, but at least you're not starting over all the way back to the beginning and seeing the same screens that we already have seen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.